National anthem.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to New Smyrna Speedway at New Smyrna Beach, Florida, for tonight's Jeep Beach ARCA East 175, the season opener here in 2020 for the ARCA Menard Series East. My name is Charlie Krall. I'm alongside my good friend Adam Mackey. We've got Jesse Punch patrolling down on pit road, and we're going to bring all the action from right here at New Smyrna Speedway to you tonight, right here on Track Pass on NBC Sports Gold. And Adam, Night 4 of this World Series of Asphalt here at New Smyrna Speedway. It has been an exciting opening 3 nights, and we've got a big one coming up for everybody at home tonight.
Yeah, definitely one of the biggest nights of the week when you see the Tour-Type Modifieds for the first time and the season opener for ARCA Menard Series East. So it's huge, and we've got the 602 Modifieds as well. 3 great races getting set to go. Plenty of laps to keep us entertained throughout the course of the evening.
My rudimentary math calculations done last night tell me we've got 250 laps of action coming up tonight.
We actually have a B main feature as well,
that's right.
So that's going to add another 15. 265, I think, is the total now.
There we go. Impressive. I appreciate your math skills on that one. That was quick. But we're going to kick things off with the aforementioned Jeep Beach ARCA East 175. There you see the cars gridded down on the main straightaway. Been a very busy day for these race teams, including one of them that we see on the screen right there, Daniel Dye in that number 43. Hometown guy had some problems in practice earlier this afternoon.
He did. Had an engine expire during practice for ARCA Menard Series East earlier here at his home track. Such an important race for the young driver looking to make a full season of ARCA Menard Series East races. And Daniel Dye, the team, worked hard to get an engine back in there, a backup power plant, got him back out in time for qualifying. He laid down a pretty decent lap.
Also have a young man making his series debut tonight that we've seen the previous 3 nights here at New Smyrna Speedway and had some success here last evening. Young man named Sammy Smith driving that number 18 car.
Yeah, I think Sammy Smith has a chance to be impressive tonight. He did not qualify, I'm sure, as well as he would have liked. He starts back past the middle half of the field in the 9th position. However, he was dominant in a super late model race last night. He has probably about as many laps at this racetrack as anyone in the field, as he's been competing here for a couple of years in World Series action, pro lates, as well as super late models. So I got right there Sammy Smith, I think going to be one of the favorites, plus the combination of he being a pretty good driver and a very good race team.
And one of the big storylines that we're going to follow throughout the course of the night is the number 21 car driven by young Jack Wood. He is a transplant from the West Coast, making his first start here on the East Coast. There you see him outside row number 2. Jack hopping in that car, vacated by 2-time series champion Sam Mayer. And we'll have to see how he does. Of course, Sam dominated the ARCA Menard Series East last year with 5 wins and 6 starts.
Pretty big racing seat to fill on a car that has been so dominant, as you mentioned a season ago with Sam Mayer, and now he's behind the wheel. We're moments away from getting a starting command, I think, to get these drivers off and rolling here in just a little bit. Still some final preparations at some of the cars, getting the drivers buckled in, as you can see there, getting the final safety mechanisms in place.
And a great crowd on hand here at New Smyrna Speedway as well. Good to have fans back in the stands as we get set for a busy week of racing here in and around Daytona Beach and New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Kind of the opening act of Speed Weeks here is a lot of that action will transition over to the big track Daytona International Speedway. But we are going to stay busy right here, Adam. We've got a full week of racing to complete here before we kick off with end the week, I should say, with the Daytona 500 on Sunday.
Yeah, we do all week long now that the Tour-Type Modifieds have joined us here at New Smyrna Speedway. They'll be here the rest of the week, starting tonight all the way through Friday night with the week-ending Richie Evans Memorial. We still have racing on Saturday night, but the Tour-Type Modifieds' last scheduled night is on Friday.
A lot of action yet to come here at New Smyrna Speedway as we're just a few moments away from firing the engines for tonight's Jeep Beach ARCA East 175.
Ms. Hart, our proud owner of the racetrack, and Charlene Greer here, the chairwoman of Jeep Beach. They're going to give the command here in just a second. And when we're ready, folks, we'll do this thing, I promise. Just getting everybody strapped in. Takes some time to get them all in there. It looks like just about everybody's strapped in and ready to go. Looks like just one final driver or so getting ready. and then we will be ready. And folks, I'm going to ask you to do one more thing for me before we get going. Miss Hart wanted everybody to stand and be part of the command here today, so I'm going to invite everybody to please rise one more time as we get ready to give the command to go racing. Are you folks ready to go racing tonight? We can do better than that. I said, are you guys ready to go racing? All right. I think we're ready. Are we good? All right, we're just about ready for the command here. We're good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to give the command to fire engines, Miss Hart and Miss Greer, you guys know how to do it, right? Are you guys ready? One more time. Let's hear it. Take it away, ladies.
Ready? Drivers, start your engines!
15 engines roaring to life down on the May straightaway here at New Smyrna Speedway. How is that for an enthusiastic command to fire engines, Adam?
Yeah, pretty impressive. I think they were excited to see this. It's in front of our biggest crowd of the week as the Tour Type Modifieds get ready to go, as well as the season opener for ARCA Menard Series East. Charlie, really looking forward to this one. We've been looking forward to it for a good while, especially since we got down here just a few days ago.
You know, you and I have the privilege of being at a lot of these ARCA Menard Series races, and we do a lot of pre-race stuff, and there are a lot of times I have to coach some of these folks to get them pumped up for that command to fire engines. No need to do that here tonight. That was a fantastic command. Should get us off on a very positive note here as the drivers now starting to get ready to roll off here on the first of what should be 4 pace laps before we rock and roll here tonight in our 175 lap main event. Why don't we go ahead and take a quick look at tonight's race analysis for the Jeep Beach ARCA East 175. Again, 175 laps. That's going to translate to just about 84.5 miles, which means this racetrack, Adam, just a tick under a half mile. 23 degrees of banking in these corners, and that's going to come into play tonight because the bottom groove and the top groove not always quite equal here at New Smyrna Speedway. We're going to have a competition caution at or around lap 88 tonight, and we're going to have some modified live pit stops, and we'll get into that with Jesse Putch down on pit road here in a little bit as the field does begin to roll off. But we've seen it here all week, Adam. That lower line, you would think that that's the place that you want to be, but that's not always the case.
And it maybe changes a little bit with these heavier cars like we see in ARCA Menard Series East. These cars, as well as when it was the K&N Series running here at New Smyrna Speedway, kind of run a different lane, and much like the Pro Late models with these heavy cars, they don't want to let off. They don't want to use a ton of brake because they want to keep their momentum up, not lose momentum coming off the turns.
Let's talk a little bit about tonight's General Tire Pole Award winner, Taylor Gray, setting quick time in qualifying. There you see him in that number 17 Ford for David Gilliland Racing. Of course, Sam Mayer won the 2020 ARCA East Pole Award for the season long with 2 poles. Last year, Derek Griffith started from the pole here and ended up going on to a second place finish after leading 144 laps. Taylor Gray wanting to avenge that here tonight. And he's got some hungry young drivers here behind him.
That he does. We have several new young drivers with us tonight in this series. Let's send it downstairs to Jesse Punch for today's Bounty Rookie Spotlight.
That's right, guys. We have 3 rookies to keep your eye on here tonight. Driving that number 6 Chevrolet is 18-year-old Raja Karuth from Washington, D.C. Raja is a prominent iRacing driver that caught the attention of Rev Racing. He's here tonight representing the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program, driving for Max Siegel. The youngest of the 3, Sammy Smith, just 16 years old from Johnston, Iowa. He's piloting that number 18 Toyota tonight, but already has a win under his belt here at New Smyrna Speedway. He's won the super late model race last night here. Oh, by the way, that number 18 car led the most laps across any ARCA Menard Series program last season. And finally, Carson Kwappel, the North Carolina native, making his way to the ARCA Series after running in the car super late model tour the past 2 seasons. If that Kwappel name sounds familiar, he's the son of 2003 Camping World Truck Series champion Travis Kwappel. Carson is behind the wheel of that number 41 Chevrolet for Cook Finley Racing tonight.
I'm going to keep my eye on all of those guys. And there's another youngster out here tagging towards the back of the field. And we'll take a look at that starting lineup here in just a moment. Colton Hensley, another young man that we're going to keep an eye on. Why don't we go ahead and take a quick look at that starting lineup. Taylor Gray and Max Gutierrez will line up on the front row. Alongside those two West Coast transplants, Joey East and Jack Wood, starting back in row number 2. Mason Diaz and Parker Retzloff back in row number 3. Parker was quickest in practice earlier here this afternoon. There's Raja Caruth back in 7th alongside hometown favorite Daniel Dye. Sammy Smith and Carson Kwappel, we just heard about them. They're back in row number 5. Brandon Oakley, Colton Hensley back in row 6. Willie Mullins, Dick Doheny back in row number 7. Richard Garvey rounding out the 15-car starting lineup. We had a 16th car entered here this afternoon, Chuck Buchanan. But unfortunately, Adam, he had some problems in qualifying. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, he went down into the corner on his second qualifying lap and slammed the outside retaining wall. Looks as like a mechanical failure or throttle sticking going into the corner, as it just would not turn. You could see he had the brakes applied, the tire rubber laying down on the asphalt as he slammed the outside retaining wall.
He was full lock to the left, too. That car just was not going to turn. Tough break for Chuck. And he was going to attempt to race that very same race car at Daytona later on in the week. Don't know how that's going to impact those plans just yet. In any case, they're going to have a lot of work to get that car back in racing shape. Mark Hancock takes the Jeep pace truck down on pit road. Jimmy Walker going to put the green flag in the air, and we are racing here at New Smyrna Speedway, and Max Gutierrez stacking the field up on the start. Wow, tough break there for the driver of the number 30, and the field scrambles behind him.
Fortunately, it looks like everybody able to get through it without any major issues. We watched them go down into turn number 3, and the youngster Taylor Gray, the 17 car, a driver 15 years of age from North Carolina, leads lap number 1.
Taylor Gray jumping out to the lead there. About 5 car lengths in hand over Jack Wood, and everybody doing a great job to miss. Looked like Max just missed a shift on that start, and the field stacked up and kind of threw me for a loop. You don't expect that at the drop of the green flag, and I guarantee you the drivers behind him had no idea that was coming either. But everybody doing a good job to keep the fenders on these cars here early in the going.
Some of it could be, Charlie, the youth. We have a lot of youth in today's field. 9 teenage drivers in our 16-car starting field. 4 drivers making their first ever ARCA start.
Yeah, there's one of them who's got a handful of starts out west, but making his first start here on the East Coast in that 21 car. Jack Wood in that second spot. Jack driving for GMS Racing, the team that has earned the last 2 East Series championships, and he's got his rearview mirror full of Parker Retzloff right there. Parker had some problems. Car didn't come to life in qualifying. He missed his assigned qualifying spot, and car wasn't quite up to speed the way we saw it in practice, but apparently that car running very well here in the early going here for the Jeep Beach 175.
And Retzlaff looking strong, and that number 42 drops to the inside to battle for the second position, and giving him room there is the 21 of Jack Wood. And right away we'll get to see how that outside lane is and how easy it is to pull off a move on the inside lane.
Yeah, I have been surprised throughout the course of the week how many times we have seen that outside lane be the preferred groove. But right now, Parker Retzlaff definitely making some ground up on the bottom side of the racetrack as we see our first driver pulling into the infield. Dick Doheny in the 10 car. Looks like he's calling a night. Just a handful of laps in here as that battle for second now really getting heated up, just a car length or 2 off the back bumper of Taylor Gray.
That might be the most impressive thing. They are racing extremely hard side by side, and at the same time still able to close the gap on the leader, Taylor Gray. You would think Gray would be able to pull away in this instance because these drivers are racing so hard with one another. However, Gray has the challengers right there in his rearview mirror.
And there we see, if you just look to the back of this battle, and there you see the nose of that machine right there. The number 43 car, Daniel Dye, started 8th after some engine issues in practice here this afternoon. He was a beneficiary of that stack up on the start. He jumped from 8th to 4th, and he's looking to the inside of Jack Wood, trying to take over that 3rd spot down in 1 and 2.
You know, he has a good race car. It's a matter of having that engine change, missing a lot of practice earlier. He still qualified relatively well in the 8th position, but it looks like the race car is strong, and they moved right down along that bottom yellow line. And Retzlaff looks like he might have a car that is capable of competing for the win tonight, at least for the lead at this stage of the race.
Retzlaff driving for team owner Bruce Cook and the Finley Racing family from up in the state of Michigan. And right now that car looking very racy. Parker earned the 4th finishing position in the final ARCA Menard Series East standings last year. He's looking to the inside of Taylor Gray going down into turn 1. We may have our first lead change of the season here, folks. Retzlaff to the inside of Gray down the backstretch.
Yeah, Retzlaff running hard here early on, looking to take over the lead. Was a regular on the tour last year, finished 4th place in the ARCA Menards East standings, and look, there he is in the lead early on. in this 175 lap event at lap 11.
Parker was very consistent all season long last year. He had 5 top 10 finishes in those 6 starts, but a best finish of only 7th. That consistency paid off in the point standings. He's wanting more here tonight. He's looking for that first career top 5. He's got a good shot at it here tonight. That car really turning well here this evening, as now we see Daniel Dye starting to turn the wick up on Jack Wood in the battle for that 3rd and 4th spot. And there you see Max Gutierrez coming back to life after that miscue on the initial start.
Yeah, Gutierrez fell back there early. He turned the surprising lap in qualifying. See the front rotors glowing on that number 30, gets it a little free going in. These cars typically handle very well here at New Smyrna Speedway. You don't see a lot of spins. It's almost like these cars are tough to spin here. And that makes for some long green flag runs, which I think we'll see tonight.
Gutierrez still digging hard down on the bottom side of the racetrack. There we see Carson Kwappel to the top side of the racetrack. We heard about him a little bit at the top of the show. Carson making the transition from the outlaw kart world down at Millbridge Speedway. A lot of people who follow along down there are very familiar with Carson Kwappel. He's transitioned into some full-bodied late model competition. Also took his first stab at the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals here back in the month of January, making his first appearance here in the ARCA Menard Series East. And I was kidding with him a little bit earlier. I said, well, you know, your dad, when he made his ARCA debut back in 2005, won the race up at Pocono. Is he putting any pressure on you? And he's like, oh, we don't talk about that.
You know, and Carson has a little bit of experience here at New Smyrna Speedway. He raced here at the World Series back in 2019 in the super late model deal and had a couple of top 5 finishes. So he has experience here, but much different from a super late model, these ARCA cars.
Max Gutierrez giving up some ground there. He really got sideways down in turns 3 and 4. So that battle for position going to settle down here for a couple of laps, as there we see Daniel Dye still trying to track down Jack Wood in a battle for that 3rd and 4th position.
3rd and 4th right there. The 21 of Jack Wood, the 43 of Daniel Dye. And you mentioned Dye picked up a lot of the 4 spots that he has picked up so far in this race on that opening lap, whenever the front of the field shuffled up a little bit, with the front row starter Max Gutierrez having an issue, maybe missing a shift when they were coming to green. Nonetheless, Daniel Dye has settled in nicely. The driver that's impressive right now is the leader, Parker Retzlaff, pulling away from the field here early on.
And of course, we talked about Parker earlier this afternoon as we were doing some research here. He really came to prominence during the layoff last spring, when he picked up a couple of very impressive wins on the high racing platform. As there we see a battle. Sammy Smith looking to the inside of Max Gutierrez down into turns 1 and 2. Smith trying to take over that. I believe that is a battle for 6th and 7th right there, as Gutierrez is going to give up that spot. That car maybe not quite handling the way that he would like it right now. You see those front brakes glowing bright red, and you don't want to see that quite so early. That battle for 6th, just behind the top 5.
Yeah, we saw the 30 car of Gutierrez kind of get free on exit. That allowed his opponent there, Sammy Smith, to get by to the inside lane. We look back up front of the field. Parker Retzlaff leading the way in the 42 car. 21 laps in the books, and this number 42, you know, using that wider angle down in turns 1 and 2s, we have seen drivers do all week long during the World Series. Down in 3 and 4, they go right along that yellow line.
Yeah, we've talked about it throughout the course of the weekend so far. Racetrack looks like it might be symmetrical, but it doesn't drive symmetrically down here. And there you see right there, he's going to run the middle of the racetrack. Then he's going to put it right down on the bottom of the racetrack at the other end. There you see again Jack Wood. He's got a freight train behind him. Jack Wood kind of holding this line up a little bit. Daniel Dye trying to find some room to get around. If Dye can get around, he thinks he might have a chance to get up there and track down Parker Retzlaff and Taylor Gray up at the front of the field. And he's got Carson Kwappel and Sammy Smith in tow as well.
I think maybe one of the fastest cars on the track right now is that number 18 that missed it just a little bit in qualifying. Sammy Smith, the winner of the super late model event of the World Series one night ago. And Smith has moved up to the 6th position from his 9th starting spot, and he's got 3 of them lined up in front of him. I think he's starting to lick his chops, ready to pick up 3 more spots.
You know, talking about that move that Daniel Dye made at the beginning of the race to pick up those 4 positions. We haven't really talked about it too much so far, Adam, but I'm going to put that in the bank for the Reese's Sweet Move of the Race coming up here at the end. Of course, Reese's coming on board as a sponsor here of the ARCA Menard Series, and we're going to give the fans at home a chance to vote on that. You go to the ARCA Twitter page tomorrow at 9 a.m. That's ARCA_racing on Twitter. We're going to give you a small handful of choices to make, but I think Daniel Dye's evasive moves there, and there you see, head to the ARCA Menard Series Twitter page after the race at _racing to vote for the Reese's Sweet Move of the Race. We're going to start that tomorrow at 9 a.m. It'll run until tomorrow at 5 p.m. And I think Daniel Diaz's evasive moves right there might just get that inaugural Reese's Sweet Move of the Race fan vote.
Definitely going to be one of the candidates, as it puts him in great position, not having to work hard to make the passes after that first lap, already picking up 4 spots where he's settled into the 4th position, right behind the 21 of Jack Wood.
You know, they always talk about it's always easy to pick up spots down on pit road. Well, that's true. It's also easy to pick them up when the inside lane decides they're not going to go on that initial start. But, yeah, that could have been a big mess. Dan doing a nice job. And there we see Sammy Smith in that number 18 car. Of course, Ty Gibbs drove that car. He will be driving the 18 in the ARCA Menard Series this season, but Sammy Smith will drive that car here in the ARCA Menard Series East. And Sammy doing a pretty decent job here in his debut, as he's running right now just outside the top 5 behind Jack Wood, Daniel Dye, and Carson Kwappel.
Jesse Punch has been reporting down in the pits all week long, and I think she has a little nugget for us right now, Charlie.
That's right, guys. You saw them bring in that 6 car not once but twice. I talked to the crew. They said they're worried about overheating, so they brought it in to make sure everything's looking good. They're going to keep an eye on it for the remainder of the race.
Rajah Caruth, number 6 car, back to pit road earlier, and he's back out on the track now.
And that is really tough break. I talked to Rajah before the race started. He was full of optimism, and I said, hey, man, why are you starting so far back in the pack? He said, man, I just totally underdrove this race car in qualifying. If I did my job, we'd be a lot closer to the front. But we're going to see a lot out of that young man. A very interesting story. He got this ride based on his performances in the iRacing series on the sim, and then he came down here to New Smyrna and knocked it out of the park at the Drive for Diversity Combine. And I'm looking forward to what's going to end up being a very fun season with Rajah Caruth.
Getting a little dicey here for our drivers from 3rd on back, as Willie Mullins in the number 3, the driver from Virginia, moving over to the low side, making his 2nd New Smyrna Speedway ARCA Menard Series East start. Was here last year, finished 20th in that event.
I'll give Willie a lot of credit. His program more centered around coming down here to run at the big track, but he's like, you know what, while we're down here, I want to come and have some short track fun. So Willie Mullins out here knocking fenders here at New Smyrna Speedway as well.
And Willie Mullins is a threat at Daytona International Speedway. Finished 2nd in the event a couple years ago.
And picked up a top 10 finish last year. There we see a battle for position. Sammy Smith looking to the inside of Carson Kwappel to take over that 5th spot. So that number 18 car really coming to life here as we're now some 34 laps into our initial green flag run here in the 2021 ARCA Menard Series season.
74 car, Mason Diaz, running a full schedule of ARCA Menard Series East, but he gives up the bottom lane here, and getting by to the inside is Joey East. A couple drivers we haven't mentioned much of in this race so far, but getting dicey now, maybe trying to turn up the wick a bit.
So I think Joey East is another one of those drivers that got shuffled out on that initial green flag start when Gutierrez scheduled to start 2nd, but due to lane choice was down on the bottom side of the racetrack. Joey East scheduled to start 3rd. He had nowhere to go, so he gave up a lot of spots on that initial start. As there you see East now coming to life. He's looking to the inside of Carson Koppel to try to take over that 6th position.
Yeah, 2 times in a row now he's moved to the bottom lane. He has a good race car. Joey East in the 54, the 3rd fast qualifier. Car looks to be hooked up. Didn't see the rotors glowing too brightly on the 54, and now a battle more toward the front of the field.
Yeah, battle up at the front. Daniel Dye looking to the inside of Jack Wood. This battle for the 3rd position. I bumped into Keith Barnwell, the general manager over there at GMS Racing, also spotting tonight for Jack Wood. And, you know, they weren't too happy with the race car in practice. And I said, hey, man, what's going on? He said, new driver, new crew chief. We're all trying to figure it out together. We don't know what we got for tonight, but apparently Chad Bryant, and a lot of people know Chad Bryant here in the ARCA Menard Series. He is fine-tuned the setup on this automobile, and Jack Wood doing a very nice job here in the early going as he holds on to that 3rd position, fighting off the challenge. Pretty serious challenge for position there from Daniel Dye.
Yeah, and the 18 of Sammy Smith continues to move forward right there in the 5th position. We saw him back as far as 7th or 8th just not that long ago. 40 laps will be in the books this time by, and Sammy Smith continues 1 car at a time to pick off spots. If he gets up into 3rd or 4th before maybe that halfway yellow flag, competition yellow, comes out, look out for that 18 car.
So I was wondering, neither you or I have ever been in an actual competitive race, at least to my knowledge. I know I haven't. I don't know about you, but
I've done a little racing.
I wonder what's going on in Sammy Smith's mind. He's got a lot of confidence coming in because he won here last night, but doesn't have a lot of experience in this platform of race car. As a race car driver, kind of give me a little bit, if you can, from your experience, what's going on in his head right now?
Well, Sammy Smith's thinking, just pace myself. I want to get to the front. I missed it in qualifying. He knows he has a good race car. He's got one of the best cars on the track, I'm sure, the Gibbs racing team. He's going to be, I think he has a little more pressure on his shoulders. So at the same time, I think he knows he wants to have a car at the end of the race. And if he's got a car at the end of the race in the top 3 or 4, he's going to have a shot at victory. So he's pacing himself. And I think so far he's done a nice job.
And just kind of going through the memory bank from last night, if you're sitting in that second spot on that last lap, you got some room here to play some bump and run tactics as well.
Yes.
So it's all about getting to that last lap. Right now, Sammy Smith doing a great job, kind of slowly working his way up towards the front of the field. Right now, hanging on to that 5th position right here in this train with Jack Wood, Daniel Dye. And of course, there you see Joey East kind of tagging on as the caboose to this line as they work their way down into turns 1 and 2. Parker Retzloff still having it his way up at the front of the field. That's why we're not seeing that 42 car too much. He's 3.5 seconds ahead of Taylor Gray. This is really the best battle on the racetrack here in the front of the field. And there you see Daniel Dye. He's cooled the tires off a little bit. He's going to lock and load for another run at Jack Wood to try to take over that 3rd spot.
Kind of like a little cat and mouse game going on there. He'll apply pressure for a couple of laps. The next thing you know, he falls back 3 or 4 car lengths, then has to mount another run. And I think at the same time, Jack Wood kind of just searching for a comfortable lane in front of him there. He pushed up off the bottom yellow line, and Daniel Dye, who's turned a lot of laps here despite being just 17 years of age in the 43. This is his home track.
Of course, his father, Randy Dye, a very successful racer here at New Smyrna Speedway, is now Daniel Dye going to face some pressure from Sammy Smith down the backstretch and into turns 3 and 4. Smith to the bottom side. He's going to roll the bottom of the racetrack. Let's see if he can clear him here off a turn forward. Indeed, he does. Moves Sammy Smith up to 4th.
Good racing in our top 5. We've seen a lot of changes for position, and it looks like they've been able to pull off the passes maybe even easier than a couple of our divisions we see on a nightly basis, where they fight so hard lap after lap and they just can't pull off that inside lane pass. But if you get to the bottom of a driver in front of you here tonight in an ARCA car, it looks like you're able to make the move a little bit easier.
Well, that's the one of the main differences between the cars we're seeing tonight and the cars we've seen throughout the rest of the week. These cars are a lot heavier. So if you pace yourself, you may be able to save those tires a little bit. You're going to have some comers and goers just based on how hard you're willing to run here in the early going. And could just be that Daniel Dye, in addition to getting lucky and making up some spots there on that initial start, he might have burned those tires off of that race car. He may be thrashing it here by the time we get to that midway point coming up around lap 85 or so. There you see Joey East looking at the bottom side of the racetrack as he looks to move Daniel Dye back to the 6th position.
Side by side they race. The outside lane momentum for the 43 of Dye was good on the exit of 4, and up in front of him looks like Sammy Smith ready to make another move.
Almost drifted up the racetrack a little bit and got into that left rear quarter panel of the 21 car, but both drivers doing a good job there, avoiding any contact as they work their way off of turn 4. And there you see East working to the outside of Daniel Dye to take over that position. Move Joey East back up into the top 5 for the first time here tonight.
Daniel Dye probably looking forward to that first pit stop. He didn't get a lot of practice because of the engine expiring and maybe not a chance to run any long runs as the battle again steps up for the 3rd position.
There you see Sammy Smith looking to the inside of Jack Wood. These two cars battled for the ARCA Menard Series East Championship last season. Both of them had different drivers, with their current drivers picking up right where they left off. Sammy Smith to the inside of Jack Wood here off of turn number 4, and there you see that tire rubber flying off of those race cars. Very abrasive track surface here at New Smyrna Speedway. That's going to come into play later on in the race as, again, Sammy Smith digging hard to the bottom side of the racetrack, trying to take over that 3rd spot from Jack Wood.
Closing on the 1/3 mark of this race already. It's been clean since the beginning. No yellow flags, and picking up the spot, Sammy Smith moves up to 3rd from his 9th starting position. He's had no help of any yellow flags to bunch up the field, so he's been able to do it all under green flag. 1 green flag run since the start of this race some 54 laps ago.
And here comes Joey East as well. There you see that 54 car. David Gilliland Racing prepared automobile for Joey East here in 2021. Of course, David Gilliland, a former pole winner over at the big track, Daytona International Speedway, picked up a big win as a driver in what is now the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Kentucky Speedway back in 2006, and kind of launched him on an upward trajectory. Now a retired driver and a car owner. He's got a couple of cars. Taylor Gray also driving for David Gilliland Racing here, and both comfortably up in the top 10 here as Joey East looks to move into the top 5.
Makes the move to the inside lane. As you mentioned, he's able to clear the 21 car of Jack Wood on the front straightaway at lap 57.
I think we've got another report from Jesse Punch down on pit road. Jesse, what do you got for us?
Well, you guys were just talking about David Gilliland. You know, I tried to catch up with Mr. Gilliland before the race, but you talk about him being a car owner. He's not just a car owner. He's underneath the car, working on every race car he has for this weekend. Busy guy, but he's incredibly involved when it comes to his young talent.
All right, Jesse, thank you so much down there. Very loud down on pit road here tonight. So good to have Jesse Punch with us down on pit road throughout the course of the World Series of Asphalt here at New Smyrna Speedway. And there you see that battle. Jack Wood still having his hands full. Daniel Dye now once again putting the pressure on.
Mentioned the 43 as they get very close to making contact there in 2. You thought maybe he had burned off his tires a little bit earlier. Well, the 21 surely has Jack Wood has really faded back. He was running second, third for a good portion of the early stage of the race.
Remember about 10 laps ago, I said the reason we're not checking out the lead, it was a 3.5 second advantage. Now it's a 0.3 second advantage. Taylor Gray really coming to life. He has reeled in Parker Retzlaff. Now just 2 car lengths back as we approach the I believe the 60 lap mark, make it 61 laps, quickly approaching that midway point. Taylor Gray going to want to lead the field down on pit road here, come to the halfway point, it appears.
They are using some brakes up front. First and second, glowing rotors right there. Retzlaff in the 42, the 17 of Gray. And Gray was passed by Retzlaff earlier in this race, and Retzlaff ran away from him, but was Gray pacing himself, knowing that this early in the race, it doesn't really matter.
Taylor Gray doing a very nice job keeping the tires underneath that automobile. And look, he's going to try to dive to the inside of Parker Retzlaff off of turn 4. Retzlaff got the speed. He's got the momentum off the top side of the racetrack right there, able to put the power down. But Taylor Gray, he's still going to fight back up with him coming off of turn number 2.
Definitely some different lanes that they're running. The 17 of Gray now follows the tire tracks of Retzlaff in turn 3 and 4. But down here in 1 and 2, they have different approaches to this corner.
And of course, Taylor Gray picking up his first career ARCA Menard Series victory in the West Series last year at Kern County Speedway, or Kern County Raceway out in Bakersfield, California. Just 15 years of age. Wanted to make his debut in this race last year, but wasn't quite old enough. Still just 14 years of age. And there he is pulling alongside Parker Retzlaff. He's going to retake the lead down into turn 1.
And that car stuck to the yellow line down in turns 1 and 2. That thing is still hooked up for Taylor Gray in the 17. Probably will be able to put together a pretty sizable lead here with an expected competition yellow. If we don't get a yellow before lap 88 or so, close to the halfway stage, we're about 20 laps away from when they would wave the first yellow.
Of course, we were talking about team owner David Gilliland here a few moments ago. He's very involved in the mechanical setups of these race cars. Taylor Gray working with a very experienced crew chief, Chad Johnston, calling the shots on the pit box here. So Chad may have had Taylor, hey, pace yourself here a little bit. We got a long green flag run here ahead of us. Save those tires and let's have something when we get towards that midway point. As there we see that battle on screen. Battle for 3rd and 4th. Sammy Smith in 3rd. Joey East back up to the 4th spot. As there you see the 18 car jumping a little sideways here as we're getting down towards that halfway point here in the Jeep Beach ARCA East 175.
Both of those drivers definitely on their way to the front. Pretty good race cars. East got shuffled back on that opening start. Here's Mason Diaz again in the 74 car, 7th position. Mason Diaz, the 21 of Jack Wood, running in 6th. Diaz wants to take it away as Wood continues to fall back.
Mason Diaz transferring over to the Visconti Motorsports team here. Ooh, a little loose down there in turn 1. Nice save there by Mason Diaz in that 74 car. And, of course, the Visconti Motorsports team working with noted crew chief Tommy Baldwin here this weekend. Tommy's got a lot of balls in the air, particularly here today because he's got a race car of his own that he's going to manage here in the Tour Type Modified 50-lap feature coming up. And there you see something we haven't seen too much of here today. Not only the front rotors glowing, the rear rotors glowing on that 74 car.
Using brakes on all 4 corners is Mason Diaz, a full-time competitor with the ARCA Menard Series East here in 2020. 2021. The 17, the leader, that's the guy right there. Taylor Gray, the 17 car, 15 years of age, looking for his first win with the ARCA Menard Series East. The 18, Sammy Smith, has made the move for second place, and Sammy Smith back from 9th to 2nd. I said if he was anywhere in the top 4 or so when they had that first yellow, he was in good shape. Always made his way to the runner-up spot. And he has another 15, 16 laps before that potential competition yellow. So we see Joey, the East car, the 54, also on the move to the front.
I think Parker Retzlaff may be in that position we just talked about. I think those tires on the number 42 Ponce Toyota may be pretty much used up. He jumped out to a pretty sizable advantage, burned the tires off of that thing, and now it's kind of coming back to where he can't get the power down. So he's one of those drivers who is really looking forward to that competition break here coming up at lap 88.
That camera view going into turn 3 of the 18 car of Smith, I didn't notice a single bit of glow coming from the brakes at all. He is conserving and pacing himself, getting to the front. Unlike, you can see just a slight glow of the front rotor.
Just a little, but whereas some of these other guys really hard
using
on
them
those brakes. And, I'm wondering if that just comfort with the racetrack here again. Sammy has been down here the last couple of years, each and every night, racing in that super late model division and sometimes in that pro late model division as well. He's got a lot of laps here at this racetrack. That's got to give him a lot of confidence, even hopping into a type of race car that he's never really been in before. So Sammy Smith doing a good job now, taking over that second spot as we have 75 laps in the books here of the Jeep Beach ARCA East 175 100 yet to run here as we check in on our leader, Taylor Gray, up at the front of the field.
First time this week we've seen a competitor use the lane that he's using down in turn 1 and 2, and it seems to be working well. As we go back for another battle, it's the 21 of Wood and the 74 of Diaz again. They've been going at it for a number of laps.
And there you see a little damage to that 74 car. That may have happened on that initial start and that stack up as, again, Diaz turning that car to the right every time he comes off of that fourth turn. Drifting up the racetrack down there in turns 1 and 2. Diaz had some high hopes last year coming into the ARCA Menard Series East. He was going to challenge for the championship with the Venerini Motorsports team and just could not get Lady Luck on his side at all. Had a couple of really good runs, but it seemed like early in the season, every time he had something going, something would jump up and bite him. And right now, he's got a really nice run going here for that Visconti Motorsports team. Solid rock carriers on the side of that car. And despite that damage to the back bumper, he's got a good shot at picking up a pretty solid finish here tonight.
Yeah, that tough luck season started right here at New Smyrna last year for Mason Diaz. Look out sideways. Will they save it? Wood does a nice job to steer out of that one.
Both of those drivers doing a nice job down there in turns 1 and 2. That could have been a big mess. Mason Diaz, we saw that car jump sideways a couple of times as he tried to turn underneath Jack Wood, and Jack doing a really nice job. Kind of wonder if he knew that was coming at all. But in any case, nice recovery there by both drivers as we check in on our leader, Taylor Gray, as we now broach the 80-lap mark. We should be getting that competition caution here for pit stops here in just about 8 laps.
I was talking about that lane that he was running down in 1 and 2. He goes in kind of high, sets the car, and then goes all the way to the bottom and gets himself a great exit of turn 2. And look at this, second place. East has made the pass of Smith for the runner-up spot. So after falling way back early on, Smith wants second back, though. Ooh. And they hit down in 1 and 2. Oh, look, they're getting a little racy now.
Starting to get a little racy. We're swapping paint and bending fenders here as we approach the midway point of the ARCA East Jeep Beach 175 here at New Smyrna Speedway. Joey East taking over that second spot. That means David Gilliland Racing now sweeping the top 2 positions here as we approach the midway point.
Good run for East, though. He fell back, as you mentioned, on that opening lap deal when was caught in the wrong lane behind Gutierrez, and he's rallied so nicely and kind of followed the 18 car of Smith back up into the top 3.
I had a chance to chat with Joey just after qualifying. I said, hey, man, appreciate you coming out here and racing with us on the East Coast. Have you ever seen a racetrack like this at all out west? And he said, nope. I've never been at a racetrack like this. Probably the closest I could compare it to is Kern County, but even then it's not exactly the same. So I don't really have anything to compare it to. I would say he's picked up on New Smyrna Speedway pretty quick, as there we see some heavy race traffic in front of our leader, Taylor Gray.
Gray working around Mullins again in the 3, who runs in the 12th position. Now going to go to the outside again to the 11 of Richard Garvey, putting that driver another lap down. Last car on the lead lap is the 22 of Brandon Oakley, a driver from Ohio, and he would love to stay on the lead lap before this yellow comes out.
Just a couple of more laps to go for Brandon Oakley, trying to stay on that lead lap. You know, talking about that Reese's sweet move of the race, I think we might have another contender there with that save down there between the 74 and the 21. That was a pretty sweet move right there by both of those drivers.
I think the sweetest of the moves was Wood able to save it on the outside for the 74 of Diaz. He used 8 tires to kind of keep his car in the right direction.
That is the old saying, 8 tires turn better than 4. Are we going to have a battle between the teammates here coming to the midway point? Joey East reeling in Taylor Gray here in lap traffic as we're going to come to the midway point next time around. Where did that come from? I did not see Joey East sneaking into the picture there on Taylor Gray, but now all of a sudden we do have a battle for the lead.
I think he was conserving equipment as he came to the front. He still has a little bit left, and now the field will slow. There it is as we have our first yellow of the race, 88 laps in, and great clean racing despite so many rookies in this field, so many teenage drivers. 9 of the drivers in the starting field less than 20 years of age, and including that young kid right there in the 17, Taylor Gray, 15-year-old driver in that Ford Performance car, and he was putting on a good show. But Joey East, we've got Sammy Smith in third. Parker Retzlaff was so good. Man, what a great race we're going to have in that second half.
It's all going to be about what happens down on pit road, and I believe we've got another pit report before we get those controlled pit stops here coming up. Another pit road report from Jesse Punch. Oh, I'm sorry, not quite ready to set it down to pit road. We'll do that here in just a moment. My apologies on that. Jumping the gun. There you see our pace vehicle here tonight. Let's talk about that for a second, Adam. Of course, Jeep Beach, that is a pretty cool event. We hold it down here on Daytona Beach. It's a charitable organization that brings in Jeeps from all around people flock to Daytona Beach for racing, for motorcycles, and now for Jeeps. And they've raised $1.2 million for charities in and around the Daytona Beach area. And this is a pretty cool pace truck right here. It's a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 with a concept V8 engine, 6.4 liters with 450 pounds of 450 horsepower, 450 foot-pounds of torque, and 0 to 60 time in less than 5 seconds, as we do have our cars heading down pit road for the first time tonight. Let's set it on down to Jesse Punch.
Got our mic muted.
You guys said it. This is the only scheduled pit stop here halfway through the race. It is a controlled pit stop, which means teams can only take 2 tires at a time, then fuel. It'll be a 3-lap pit stop. The first lap for cars on the lead lap, second for cars that are not on the lead lap, and third lap for any cars that want to bring it in one more time to potentially take more tires or make adjustments. So we'll have to see what these leaders decide to do tonight.
Thank you very much, Jesse. And the key component to that, Adam, is that there will be no position changes down on pit road. They're going to re-enter the racetrack in the order they came down pit road as long as they stay on the lead lap.
That's the key, staying on the lead lap. Doesn't have to be an extremely fast pit stop by any means. You do not want to make any mistakes on pit road, but as long as you get out onto the racetrack before going a lap down, you're in good shape. And it's very similar to late model races, some of the bigger late model races, except those you can stay in the pits for a couple of laps. This is a little bit different.
And it's all about controlling costs here. You know, we would see, race teams spending a lot of money to fly in pit crews. This is just done to kind of control costs here. This is supposed to be a developmental platform, so we do want to try to keep costs in check. There you see Jack Wood returning to the racetrack. And as we talked about a few moments ago, a candidate for that Reese's sweet move of the race. Why don't we go ahead and take a quick look at our Richmond Water Heaters Midway recap here. Of course, we are under caution with 92 laps in the books. We've got a couple of leaders so far here this afternoon. Of course, that stack up on the start allowed Taylor Gray to jump out to the lead, but he was quickly overhauled by Parker Retzlaff. Retzlaff led the majority of that first segment of the race, but then Taylor Gray kind of chased him down with about 20 to go until that midway point. Caution-free the first half as we see Sammy Smith back down on pit road, so he's going to give up track position here on the restart. He's going to go to the tail end of the line on this restart, as will Jack Wood.
But they'll have 4 fresh tires instead of 2 tires.
4 fresh General tires, 4 fresh skins on these race cars. So I believe that's going to be a benefit to them. We saw what happened there at the end of that first 88-lap green flag run. We'll have a little less than 88 laps to go, probably have closer to 80 laps to go by the time we get back to racing. But in any case, 4 fresh tires, I think, will be the way to go here towards the end.
And here comes some more. There comes Taylor Gray. Here comes the 74 of Diaz. So I think just about everybody is going to have that strategy of 4 tires. However, it looks like a couple of them were coming down a lap earlier. So we have to see where this all settles out for these guys who may have stayed out for an extra lap.
Well, no surprise here, because some of these guys like Jack Wood, Sammy Smith, they've never done this modified live pit stop procedure. Of course, Jack Wood with some experience here on the ARCA Menard Series platform last year. Those West races didn't have pit stops last year, so this is his first go around at it. So maybe no surprise there that he may have pitted out of order. We'll have to get confirmation from ARCA officials on what the lineup will be when we go back green flag racing. But I believe, based on the amount of cars we see on pit road right now, this is when you would have wanted to make that second stop. Now, again, we'll have to get confirmation from officials on what the lineup will be. My understanding is that it will be how they come off of pit road this time.
There's Joey East, number 54. This car may have been the best one on the racetrack at the end of that long green flag run, and we could very well see a green flag run go just about as long. We're just a little past the halfway mark as these yellow laps are counting. Joey East heading back to the track.
You know, no short of intrigue in that first half of the race. We had some comers and goers. We had some beating and banging. We had some surprise names up at the front of the field. Very interesting first segment of this race. And there was a man who made some noise right there, a young man, Daniel Dye, in that number 43 car. Had some engine problems earlier this afternoon. Started deep in the field, made a big pass there on the initial start. I actually, again, while I was making a quick spin up and down pit road, had a chance to say hello to Daniel and said, "What'd you do to that engine here earlier this afternoon?" He said, "I have no idea."
He said he drove it too fast, right?
Pain, I think, is what he tweeted this afternoon. Nothing but pain out of that 43 car with that engine issue earlier. There is an engine issue right there. I would say the 11 car of Richard Garvey may be overheating. What do you think?
Yeah, it's running plenty warm, and it's not all that hot here tonight. Temperatures have cooled down during the evening, but man, it's been comfortable every day during the World Series. Temperatures in the 70s, I think, every day so far, and the forecast shows a lot more 70-degree days as we go throughout the World Series here for the 55th running of the event.
Overcast day here at New Smyrna Speedway today. May have felt a couple of little sprinkles of rain very, very briefly earlier this afternoon, but it is a beautiful night for racing. And we have seen a phenomenal race to this point with, as I said, no shortage of intrigue. There's a good view from the spotter stand upstairs here at New Smyrna Speedway.
Crowd filling in nicely.
Yep.
Biggest crowd of the week so far. Yep. Now that the Tour Type Modifieds have come into town for their opening race coming up in a little bit.
And you mentioned it very briefly earlier this afternoon. We've got some extra bonus racing coming up here tonight because that entry list for the Tour Type Mods is so big. They didn't want to start 44 cars in that A main tonight, so they tagged on a B main. Why don't we send it back downstairs to Jesse Punch for another quick report here as we continue under caution. Jesse, what you got for us?
Yeah, guys, you saw that 11 car come back to the pits. Oh, clearly had some smoke coming off the hood there. I talked to the crew. I said, "What's going on? You guys overheating?" He looked at me. He said, "I have no idea." So they're trying to get this figured out.
Thanks a lot, Jesse. See, I could be a crew guy down there. I would have no idea either how to fix something like that.
That wasn't the power steering pump.
That was not the power steering pump. That is, that's why they don't let me work on these things, folks. But in any case, tough break for Richard Garvey. Richard got a big season ahead of him. I think he's got plans to run all the East Series races as well as a lot of the ARCA Menard Series races. Could be a very, very busy year for, we're going to call him a young man. Although he's twice as old as most of the other drivers, he's still younger than you and I.
Yeah, he's 36, but 36 is twice as old as almost half the field.
Right. But in any case, good to see 1995 ARCA Menard Series championship driver Andy Hillenberg here with a couple of race cars, and Richard Garvey having a little frustrating night here tonight, but we look forward to seeing a lot out of Richard here throughout the course of the rest of the year. Looks like Jack Wood and Sammy Smith will lead the field back to green. Mason Diaz and Taylor Gray going to restart back in row number 2. There you see Joey East and Daniel Dye back in row number 3. I'm going to keep my eye on row 4 there. Looks like the Bruce Cook Racing teammates, Parker Retzlaff and Carson Kwappel, going to fire off from 7th and 8th as we see that Jeep Rubicon pace truck heading on down pit road, and the green flag is back in the air, and we are underway with the second half of the Jeep Beach ARCA East 175.
Sammy Smith and Jack Wood did make the right moves by coming to pit road when they did. That forced the hand of the other competitors to come down pit road the following lap and get left side tires. And taking the lead for the first time in this race is Sammy Smith, the winner of Super Late Model Competition on night number 3 at the World Series. And Smith has a strong race car despite a qualifying lap that mired him deep for the start of the race. The action back in the field heating up. Daniel Dye on the inside lane. Joey East on the outside. Retzlaff, who had a great car on the short run, might want to save a little bit of that for the end of the race as he really faded right around the mid-mark of this event.
There you see a good battle just outside the top 5. Daniel Dye trying to make some ground up on Joey East there through turns 1 and 2. Dye not able to make the power stick there as he's going to fall back in line. There you see these two back at it, hammer and tong once again. Jack Wood now back in front of Mason Diaz, taking over that. I believe that is a battle for the second position. Jack Wood up to second. Mason Diaz trying to get it back off of turn 2.
Mason Diaz has a pretty good race car right now, and after the pit stops, it worked out nicely for him, put him into the 3rd spot. To the inside he goes of Jack Wood for the runner-up spot. Now, Wood and the team changing tires, you think maybe making some adjustments as well as he faded in that first half of the race, but right now not paying off quite yet as he falls back into the 3rd spot. Diaz able to make the move.
Mason Diaz with a lot of success up at Southern National Speedway, trying to carry that success on in here to the ARCA Menard Series East. As there you see Daniel Dye. Looked like there may have been a little tire lock up there going down into turn 1 right there. He's going to give up some ground to Joey East, and that's going to allow Parker Retzlaff to look to the inside now going into turn 3.
He drove it in a little bit deeper to turn 1 than the car liked, and it locked up the tires on Daniel Dye, but fortunately for the youngster from Florida, he's able to get back in line in front of Retzlaff. He holds him off and now will set his sights again on East. For East, the 54 car was so much better late stages of that run, the first half of the race, so we'll see if he's able to at least maintain in the top 5 here where he runs in 5th so he can set up a challenge later in the event.
You talk about that young man Daniel Dye being from Florida. He's actually from right about 15 miles from here, nearby DeLand, Florida. As you said earlier in the show, Adam, he has a lot of laps here at New Smyrna Speedway. Regular competitor here in the super late model division. We've seen him every night so far here in the World Series, and he was, I believe, second quick qualifier here yesterday. So he has had a pretty successful run here at the 55th Annual World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing, trying to carry that on here with a solid run here in tonight's Jeep Beach ARCA East 175. There you see Parker Retzlaff trying to hold off Max Gutierrez just outside the top 5.
Retzlaff running in the 7th position. Gutierrez, front row starter, running in the 8th spot. Retzlaff leading so many laps in this race, but faded right before the halfway mark, and the competition yellow mires him deeper in the field than I'm sure he would like to be right now. Again, we look ahead of them as the 54 of Joey East, the 43 of Daniel Dye run nose to tail. Dye ready to mount another challenge. Looked a little bit free off the corner exit there as he went to the bottom of the track. Meanwhile, we've completed 108 laps this time at the line. Laps ticking right off as we've not had a traditional yellow in this race so far.
Very fast pace here for the season opener of the ARCA Menard Series East. There you see Daniel Dye. Ooh, looks like he may have used the bumper on Joey East right there coming off of turn 2. That racetrack really kind of closes up when those two diverging lines kind of come together coming off the racetrack. And they almost came together there off of turn 2. Again, Taylor Gray now looking to the inside of Jack Wood. Taylor kind of lost out a little bit on that exchange down on pit road. We were thinking that those two cars came down pit road early. They actually came down when they should have. Taylor Gray kind of getting a little messed up down there on pit road and giving up some track position for that restart.
There's a little bump and a little rub from the 43 car of Daniel Dye, and a little more on the front straightaway, trying to get by East as East checked up on the backstretch, and Dye didn't get out of the gas, actually smashing in the rear bumper cover on that 54 car. So they both continue. He hit him square in the back, so it really didn't upset the handling of the 54 of Joey East.
Got a 6-car freight train working the front stretch here at New Smyrna Speedway. Past the halfway point here in the ARCA Menard Series East season opener, live here on Track Pass with NBC Sports Gold. There you see Parker Retzlaff getting a little sideways just in front of Max Gutierrez. Max driving the number 30 for Mark Rett Racing. Mark Rett, of course, the 2009 ARCA Menard Series championship winning crew chief with Justin Lofton back in the day. They're planning on tackling the entire ARCA Menard Series East season here in 2021.
Third and fourth, heating up. Battle for the third spot. Jack Wood holds it. Taylor Gray would like it. And they're lined up third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. That's a big pack of race cars turning equal laps right now. And they're trailed by the 22 of Oakley, trying to join that battle as well. So we're going to see some action heat up here real quick, especially if Jack Wood in the 21 can't step it up a little bit. Taylor Gray hard on those brakes, those front rotors glowing on the number 17 car. Had a strong run in the first half of this race. Meanwhile, first and second, Sammy Smith and Mason Diaz absolutely checking out, doing a great job at the front of the pack.
There you see that battle. Jack Wood getting a little tap from behind, going off into turns 3 and 4. That's going to shove him up the racetrack just a little bit. Taylor Gray not able to fill that gap down to the bottom side of the racetrack. This battle for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth on the racetrack. There you see Daniel Dye getting a little racy to the bottom side of the racetrack.
He is continuing to try to get by the 54 of East. Dye has a pretty good race car, but tough to pull off a pass. And we've actually seen Daniel down on the flat in 3 and 4 a number of times, actually putting those left tires down on the apron of the racetrack, trying to help it turn a little bit more. Still hasn't been able to pay off as he continues to run in the 6th position.
Joey East really having a nice race here tonight after that mix-up on the initial start. He did give up a lot of positions, able to race his way back up and fight for the lead as we came to the halfway point. Let's see if that same type of patient attitude takes place here with Joey in that second half of the race. Or he looks like he's going to have to be a little more aggressive here as he is in the middle of a very intense battle for position right here. And of course, right now, Sammy Smith just kind of driving off into the distance. 1.7 seconds now, the advantage for Sammy Smith up at the front of the field. And we talked about that in the first half, Adam. We weren't looking at the leader because he was so far ahead. And then 10 laps later, that gap had almost evaporated. So we'll see if that happens again here in the second half of this race.
I have a feeling Sammy Smith's car is going to be pretty good all the way to the finish. Mason Diaz, what may be the surprise of the race right now is he's pulled away from this group as well. So that lead of 1.7 is over Mason Diaz. It's much more back to third, fourth on back, where Jack Wood leads this group of cars with Taylor Gray, Joey East, Daniel Dye, Gutierrez, Parker Retzlaff. They're all right there running nose to tail, looking to make a move. And Jack Wood just good enough right now in that championship team car from a year ago for Sam Mayer to hold off these hungry challengers.
A lot of changes at that GMS Racing team in the offseason. Jack Wood, of course, filling the seat. And there you see some problems for Carson Kwappel in the 41 car. We see Carson Kwappel off the pace as he comes to pit road.
Yeah, he's not had a good night. He's not been up there competing. He's had some problems with this car and a bad start for the driver of the number 41, Carson Kwappel.
And continuing on with Jack Wood, of course, filling the seat for driver Sam Mayer, our 2-time defending series champion. Of course, longtime crew chief Chad Bryant transitioning over from team ownership of his own team to the crew chief role for the GMS Racing organization here in 2021.
Taylor Gray thinks it's go time right now. Charlie gets to the inside on the backstretch and pulls off the move. Someone able to finally get around that 21 of Jack Wood. And we'll see now if he's able to start closing the gap. He was very strong in the second half of that first part of the race as Taylor Gray has taken third away from the 21 car of Wood.
They work again to the outside of Willie Mullins over there in turns 3 and 4. Wood now feeling some pressure from Joey East as East now looks to the inside of down in turns 1 and 2. East, a very impressive young man out on the West Coast, running for a family-owned operation last year, had some very impressive qualifying runs. As it looks like we're going to try to stack them 3 wide here. Daniel Dye looking for some racing room beneath Joey East and Jack Wood, but never was able to really quite tag the finishes to go along with those impressive qualifying runs. Right now, Joey East having what is perhaps the best run of his career here on the ARCA Menard Series platform here at New Smyrna Speedway.
Made the 4 starts in West.
Ooh,
driver, oh yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
A little scary coming off of turn 4 that time, but it will help him complete the pass, losing the left rear tire.
Big time problems for Jack Wood going on into turn 1. That left rear tire went down after that contact. He's going to spin and make hard contact with the outside wall. That's going to put us under the caution flag for the second time here tonight.
His car was starting to fade. He was hanging on to it, running third for a while before Taylor Gray got around him. And then as Joey East makes the move, the contact takes place. They just bumped tires a little bit, and it's all it took to cut down that left rear. And at that point, Wood was along for the ride.
Just along for the ride. And, you know, it doesn't even have to be a lot of contact and maybe knock that valve stem off. And that looked like that's what happened to me. That tire went down in a big hurry. And Jack Wood made some pretty significant contact with the outside wall as he drives that number 21 car. Ooh, there you see that damage. A lot of damage to the left side of that GMS Racing Chevrolet.
Left front suspension, both tires on the left side as we take a look at the replay.
And let's see what we see here coming off of turn 4. Right about here, you see that contact. Joey East doing a good job keeping that car straight, but the damage already been done to Jack Wood. There you see the smoke, and there you take a look at that left rear tire, Adam, already off the wheel, and wham, bam, slam, jam off into turn 1 right there. Big time hit for Jack Wood.
Yeah, definitely a hard hit, and really the 54 car does a nice job to almost not even make contact. The right side of the car, other than the right rear,
right. He did everything he could to keep off of him. Everything he could. Just unfortunate point of contact on that race car. And again, look at this contact down into turn 1 right there. Ooh, you hate to see that driver's side impact with that wall, but Jack Wood able to drive that heavily damaged number 21 Chevrolet back down onto pit road. There you see the damage to that car, and not the way that this team wanted to start off another championship defense here at New Smyrna Speedway.
Yeah, they had speed at times during this race, but the car seemed to fade a little bit after 10, 15 laps, and he was really dropping back, and that's what created the pass, the side-by-side action with Joey East, and that's going to be about it for this 21 car for the night. We went 127 laps without a traditional yellow. We had the competition yellow at halfway, but other than that, the racing was clean right up until that point.
And even then, it's you can't really point a finger at anybody for doing anything wrong there. Joey's car just jumped a little loose. He had to turn right to correct that race car, and when he did that, that's when they got together. And you know, if they would have bumped fenders 6 inches either way, this doesn't happen, and that's just a tough break for Jack Wood. As there you see Chad Bryant and the crew. There you see Chad with the tires there. There's a Roger Caruth making it back out onto the racetrack. There we see Parker Retzlaff down on pit road as well.
I don't know if they got all the fuel in it that they wanted.
It does not appear.
Fuel guy seems to be a little upset.
Does not appear as though they got all the fuel in it.
You wouldn't think they would need a lot of fuel with
You know, we
making a pit stop.
Haven't checked in on our leader, Sammy Smith, for quite a while. Sammy picked up the lead on that exchange of pit stops, and I got to tell you, Adam, kind of confused me a little bit because we were trying to kind of calculate in our brains what lap are we on. Did he pit a lap too early? He did not. He pitted on the lap that he should have pitted on. That is a great candidate for that Reese's Sweet Move of the race right there. He kind of snookered everybody down on pit road to take that lead.
Absolutely, and I don't think anybody else was going to take left sides, but when they saw those guys come in, and I think there were 2 of them at least, possibly Diaz as well, the 21 as well as Diaz and Smith, I think that forced everybody else to come in and say, you know what, we better take left sides as well, or we're going to get run away from.
There you see Carson Kwappel down on pit road. Don't forget, folks, you can go to ARCA_racing on Twitter starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Vote for your favorite sweet move of the race. And the winning race team actually gets a little bonus prize there from our friends over at Reese's. There you see. Head over to the ARCA Menard Series Twitter page after the race at ARCA_racing to vote for the Reese's Sweet Move of the race. 9 to 5 tomorrow afternoon. We will let you know who wins coming up the next time we get a chance to talk to you here on Track Pass.
They haven't dropped any Reese's off at our broadcasting booth yet. They must not know where we're at since we've moved.
They know where we're at. They're going to take care of us here from here on out. They sent us a very nice care package up to the ARCA office not that long ago.
Nice.
They're going to take care of us from here on out, Adam. They are very great partners to work with. Appreciate their support here. And, yeah, I am looking forward to the sweet move of the race situation all season long. It's going to be a good one. What's your do you like the big cup? I discovered the Reese's Big Cup with the pretzels in it.
Oh, that's good stuff.
That is absolutely.
Yeah,
I had
stuff.
no idea those even existed until 2 weeks ago.
One thing better than chocolate-covered pretzels is chocolate-covered pretzels with peanut butter, right?
Exactly. I demolished. I don't even want to tell you how many.
Hey, Reese's eggs.
Oh yeah, they don't last long. There's a good look at the David Gilliland Racing team down there on pit road. They are having a great night here tonight. You know, maybe not quite as great as they were in the first half of that race, but still 2 very good runs by their young drivers, Taylor Gray and Joey East. Taylor sitting in the 3rd spot, Joey sitting back in that 4th spot.
I think we're going to have ourselves a pretty strong race now. I don't know that Diaz perhaps has anything for the 18 of Sammy Smith, but I think Gray in the 17 and the 54 of Joey East, that car was so strong down the stretch at the first half of the race. 45 laps to go or so. I think we're going to be in for a battle at least second on back. Not 100% sure if anyone will have anything for that 18 car of Smith, especially with his experience here. He's coming off a super late model win at this track, and he's been extremely good over the last 25 laps or so.
We're going to find out. 42 laps to go to settle it. You know, sleeper move on this Reese's. We're going to go back to this real quick. The white chocolate ones, also my favorite.
White chocolate. Some people don't like white chocolate.
I'll take it.
I love white chocolate.
I'll take it. Heck yeah, man. All right, looks like Sammy Smith going to elect to start from the outside lane here on this restart. Mason Diaz will be down to the bottom side. Diaz having a great run here tonight. There you see the 2 David Gilliland Racing teammates back in row 2. Daniel Dye, he will start to the inside. And how about this? First time we've seen Brandon Oakley this far up close to the front of the field. Brandon not on the lead lap right now, but still having a great run in that number 22 car. We've got, looks like 6 cars on the lead lap, and we're about to settle it here. 42 laps to go when we get the green flag here in the Jeep Beach ARCA East 175.
Great even restart, and Diaz drives it in deep to 1 and 2, and he's got a battle side by side with the 18 of Sammy Smith heading to turn 3. Diaz has won a race here before. It was in a Pro Late Model, the World Series a couple years ago.
Sammy Smith sawing on that steering wheel coming off at turn 4. He's going to take the lead. Mason Diaz back to second, but they're nose to tail down in turn 1. Can Diaz make a run at him off the bottom side of turn 2 down the backstretch? Doesn't look like it. Sammy Smith with the power down. He's going to hold on to the lead.
Looking strong front of the field. Lap 135 this time. 40 laps to go in the top 2, trying to pull away from Taylor Gray, who's run in the 3rd spot.
Of course, this is a battle between veteran crew chiefs along with their young drivers. Of course, Sammy Smith, a rookie. Mason Diaz, he's got a year of experience, but 2 very veteran crew chiefs. Mark McFarland calling the shots on the Sammy Smith car. Tommy Baldwin calling the shots for Mason Diaz. Has Tommy Baldwin coached his young driver as he said, hey, let's not thrash on those tires a little bit. We've got a long way to go. We're going to see if that 74 car can stay in the fight here as we slowly tick off the laps to the conclusion here as we see Parker Retzlaff looking to the inside of Brett Oakley now off into turns 3 and 4, trying to bring Max Gutierrez with him.
Gutierrez running in the 6th position. 22 cars, you mentioned Oakley shown 1 lap down in timing and scoring, running in the 7th position. First car 1 lap down at this point.
Retzlaff was having a great run here earlier in the evening. He had some issues down on pit road. We saw him down on pit road, lost a couple of laps. There you see Max Gutierrez. Max, after that initial start, lost a handful of spots on that initial start. He's had a pretty solid run, still on the lead lap, holding on to that 6th position in the Mark Rett Racing number 30.
Well, it's definitely go time now as we're down to around 30 laps to go in this race. It's going to be a battle of trying to catch Sammy Smith, or if you're a driver from second on back, hoping that Sammy Smith maybe starts to fade a little bit. I think they better just get up on the wheel and go, because I don't know that he's going to fade a whole lot.
There's a young man we hadn't seen on screen too much tonight, Colton Hensley in the number 09 car. As we flash back up to the front of the field, there you see Taylor Gray, Joey East, those 2 drivers sitting 3rd and 4th. Talked a lot about Taylor in the opening stanza of this race. Dominated the run to the midway point. There you see Colt Hensley there in the 09 car, driving for Jet Motorsports, a team has a lot of experience right here at New Smyrna Speedway. Ooh, he's sawing on the wheel coming off of turn 4 there.
Yeah, he's one of the cars that come from right here in Florida, and it's a Florida-type start for ARCA. Not only the national tour, but ARCA Menards East going to be going to Daytona, as you mentioned, for the next event for the opener for the ARCA Menards Series. And then ARCA Menards Series East back at Five Flags Speedway coming up on Saturday, February 27th. And we've had 2 ARCA races there over the last couple of years, and they've been both very exciting.
Both very exciting. Of course, last year we settled the ARCA Menards Series East Championship down there at Five Flags Speedway. And a little bonus action this year, folks. One of my favorite racing divisions going to be on tap down there as well. The Wars Compact Touring Series, bringing upwards of 40 race cars. And we'll have that action live right here on Track Pass on NBC Sports Gold coming up on February 27th. There you see that battle between teammates picking up once again. Notice the difference between the driving styles on these 2 cars. A 17 car glowing that left front brake rotor. Joey East, no brake heat at all coming off that number 54 car.
That was something we noticed earlier about the Sammy Smith car as well. Not a whole lot of rotor heat buildup, at least displaying via orange rotors. And right now the 54 car, this is about the time he started working his way forward during the first half of the race. So we'll see if he's able to close the gap on Taylor Gray, make a move on him, and maybe set his sights on the top 2.
This battle taking place behind the top 2. Sammy Smith with a 1.1 second advantage over Mason Diaz. Taylor Gray about 2 seconds behind our leader, Sammy Smith. As there you see them working to the outside of Richard Garvey coming off of turn 4. There's the top 2 right there, kind of driving off into the distance in front of this battle for 3rd and 4th. Daniel Dye trying to make it a 3-way battle for position. Very adventurous day so far. There you see that brake lock up right there again on Daniel Dye, really driving that car hard, trying to make his way up into the top 4 here this evening. All right, we're going to send it back on down pit road to Jesse Punch. Jesse, what you got for us?
You guys saw Retzlaff bring it in a little bit ago. They made a left rear tire adjustment and made a few more adjustments, but there's not a lot of information down here. Everybody's looking at me like, we don't know what's going on. So cut him out down here on pit road.
Tough night for Parker Retzlaff after having such an impressive opening segment of the race. Some mechanical issues, some handling issues. That car not handling to his liking here in the second half of this race, putting him down on pit road in a couple of laps off the pace now, as we are now within 30 laps to go. Looks like we have about 27 laps to go here, as a matter of fact, as laps quickly ticking off in front of this battle. Now 4th and 5th on your screen. And again, Daniel Dye really driving that car hard, locking that left rear tire up every time we drive off into each end of this racetrack.
Yeah, that left front, we've seen it lock up a few times going into 1. You see that smoke come out of it. We hadn't seen it up until a couple laps ago when he goes into turn 3. He's driving hard, as you mentioned. He's in the top 5, running 5th. He was hoping for a win tonight. Had the rough day start during practice when he had the engine expire, had to go to the backup. Crew worked hard to get him back out there for qualifying. And right now trying to move up from 5th to 4th. He's got a chance because these guys are going to battle hard in front of him.
And you talked about it just a few moments ago. This was the time in that opening half of the race where Joey East's car really came to life. And right now he's starting to look racy with his teammate Taylor Gray. He was virtually making contact on the backstretch that time around. Of course, Taylor going to open up a couple of car lengths there that time. But Joey East, it's going to be go time here. If he's got anything, it is time to start showing it.
And he was really closing in on Gray. And then about 2 laps ago, I think he slapped the right rear against the wall coming out of 2. Costing some ground. You see the damage to the right rear of that number 54. He's running in the 4th position. I'm pretty impressed with him, though. I hadn't seen him race before, and Joey East looking pretty strong in that ride.
There you see our leader, Sammy Smith, in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 engine ice on board for the season opener here at New Smyrna Speedway. Sammy comfortably in front of the field, 2.3 seconds the advantage now over Mason Diaz in second.
An engine ice car, I think, running calm, cool, and collected at the front of the field right now because he is all by himself out front.
Nicely done. There you see our second place driver, Mason Diaz. And, you know, we talked about the luck that he had last season. And, you know, if this was 2020, that incident that he had with Jack Wood down in turn 1 where they almost got turned sideways down there last year, that would have wiped them both out. So maybe Lady Luck is smiling down here on Mason Diaz with just 20 laps remaining here in our season opener for the ARCA Menards Series East.
They've made the right moves in this race. You know, he's got the veteran experience there. in the pits with Tommy Baldwin, and whatever they've done, everything's worked out pretty well. He's not in the lead, but he's running second, and he wasn't up there in the top 3, 4, or 5 in that first half of the race, so they pulled the right moves here tonight.
Taylor Gray and Joey East look like they might start making up some ground there on Mason Diaz there in a battle for that second, third, and fourth spot. That was a fairly comfortable advantage here a handful of laps ago, now under a 1 second gap. So Taylor Gray starting to reel in Mason Diaz here ever so slightly, as now we're approaching the 15 lap to go mark here at New Smyrna Speedway.
Down to the final 16, make it 17 laps right now, as lap 158 has gone on the board. That's the leader, Sammy Smith, the driver from Iowa. This race had several different states represented. In fact, 9 different states plus Washington, D.C. and Mexico.
Love it. Love it.
A lot of representation in our starting field.
Very diverse starting lineup. Of course, 16 cars scheduled to start here this afternoon. Chuck Buchanan not able to make the call after that incident in qualifying. And another part that I like here is that there's a wide range of ages as well. We've got the youngsters who are looking to start their climb up that motorsports ladder. We've also got a pretty good mix of those veteran drivers that, guys like me who may have always wanted to have a chance to come out here and compete. This is a great platform for them to come out here and compete at a high level. And very interesting mix on the starting grid here at New Smyrna Speedway here this afternoon as Sammy Smith comes off to complete lap 161. So just 14 laps remaining here.
Willie Mullins in the 3 now has moved into the top 10. A much better run than he had a year ago. He is a few laps off the pace, but Mullins getting his first start of the season here at New Smyrna Speedway. Looking forward to his run this weekend at Daytona International Speedway. Second, third, and fourth, this battle is going to heat up. Mason Diaz has been caught by Taylor Gray, who's running third. Joey East running in the 4th spot, and they've run him down, and now it's going to be a battle of a couple teammates trying to get up there into the 2nd and 3rd spots.
Mason Diaz doing a very nice job here, putting that car in that 2nd position again. Tommy Baldwin using that same pit strategy that Sammy Smith used to take over the top spot. Those two snookered everybody on that round of pit stops, and they have played track position to their favor, as there you see the two David Gilliland Racing teammates going at it. And again, Joey East just a little bit higher through turns 3 and 4 that time, trying to find some racing room to get around his teammate. As the caution flag will come out for the 3rd time here this evening, and this could change everything.
It does. It definitely does. Our 2nd traditional yellow, our 3rd overall after the competition yellow as well. And this sets up a shootout to the finish at the World Series.
And we're going to have the leader picking his lane on the restart. We're going to have teammates starting alongside one another. There's a lot of interesting storylines on this final restart. What we hope will be the final restart of the night here, coming with under 10 laps to go. Will we see another candidate for the Reese's Sweet Move of the race? We'll have to wait and find out. Right now, Sammy Smith holding on to the lead. Mason Diaz, Taylor Gray, Joey East, and Daniel Dye rounding out the top 5. I don't think this is what Sammy Smith was wanting to see here right now.
No, he had a car that was pretty much unbeatable where he was located on the racetrack with a huge advantage. Now anything can happen on a restart. He spins his tires, gets sideways in turn 4, misses his shift, and then it's a whole different story. I think it's going to take something like that for someone to beat him, but it can definitely happen.
And we've seen it tonight on the initial start. We saw a driver miss a shift, stack the field up, and Sammy Smith going to feel a lot of pressure coming to that restart zone here with under 10 laps remaining. And there you see the reason we are under caution flag. Some debris over there on top of turns 3 and 4. The New Smyrna Speedway track crew out there retrieving that, so we'll have a good clean racing surface for the final shootout to the finish here. Last year Sam Mayer dominated here in the East Series. We had 6 races in a relatively truncated season due to the pandemic. Sam won 5 of the 6. Of course, this 18 car won the other race. Ty Gibbs picking up a lone victory at Toledo Speedway. We already saw the 21 car have some problems with Jack Wood, so he's not going to go to victory lane tonight. Maybe we're going to see a run of success here for Sammy Smith tonight, and this number 18 car get kicked off here at New Smyrna Speedway. Definitely
think he is a capable candidate to do just that. He has been very good tonight. Other than qualifying where he missed it a little bit and he was mired him back in the field, it made a more exciting first half of this race out of it. He had to come from 9th to get up into the top 2 spots before that yellow came out. at halfway.
Well, one of the things we have seen, if you've been watching coverage of the World Series of Asphalt here at New Smyrna Speedway on Track Pass all week long, there's an invert. You know, in the classes that race here throughout the course of the week, they'll invert, whether it's top 2, 4, 6, or 8. There's an invert. We've seen a couple of races where that invert's been 2, and you know, notably Travis Eddy has kind of stunk the show up a little bit. So maybe Sammy Smith doing us a favor, putting on a show here, coming from deep in the field tonight.
Exactly. He wanted to have some fun.
That's right. I always would tell people there's a $10 passing bonus per car. So Sammy Smith raking in the bucks tonight, coming from 9th starting position on the grid. But
if it's like a dirt track and they get passing points for their heats, he's doing pretty well.
That's right. And another good night for Mason Diaz as well. Driving for the Visconti Motorsports team. That team had a frustrating season last year as well. John Visconti and his wife Marie, longtime team owners here in the ARCA Menard Series East, picked up a win a couple of years ago up at New Hampshire Motor Speedway with Brandon McReynolds at the wheel. Just couldn't quite string it together last year, but they maintained their optimism. I mean, they were happy to be at the racetrack each and every week, but just kind of seemed they'd get kicked down every time they came to the racetrack with something just kind of out of their control. We're going to send it back down to Jesse Punch for a quick report from pit road before we go back green. Jesse, what you got for us?
You guys saw the 42 of Russ Lap come in there under caution. He's 3 laps down, but they chose to make 2 right side tire changes there, hoping that'll help him out tonight.
Yeah, going to have to go back to the tires they started the race with there on the 42 car. So just not the night that Parker Retzlaff was looking for there. Appreciate your help down on pit road tonight, Jesse. Great job. As field lined up, about ready to settle it here. No surprise, Sammy Smith electing to start from the outside here on this restart, Adam.
This is crucial for Sammy Smith. Great race car. Did not want that yellow. 6 laps to go when they crossed the line. The green just moments away here at New Smyrna Speedway. The Pace Jeep will stay out on the track for at least another lap as the 18, definitely the car to beat. Now the question is, I think the 17 of Gray, the 54 of East were better than the 74 car of Diaz, but now that the tires have cooled down, does that help him out?
And you have said this a couple of times throughout the course of the week. Many times this week, we have seen the driver restarting in 4th actually have the best restart here this week. Joey East will start in that 4th position, second line outside. So we're going to have to see if Joey East can use that outside groove to his advantage as well.
18, Sammy Smith, Mason Diaz into 74. The two that will be starting alongside of one another side by side. Maybe an extra lap here under yellow. There are a couple little tiny drops of maybe some precipitation in the area, but nothing severe, nothing heavy, but of course keeping a close eye on that as we get ready to go. Now this view makes it look like it's pretty severe.
Makes it look a lot worse.
And that's why the yellow has waved as it's picked up in intensity. Yeah, we say a couple pesky raindrops. Of course, we're in dry conditions, and now a lot of the fans start to get up and say, you know what, I think I want to head for some drier ground.
I think Jesse Punch may have a different take on the amount of rain than you and I have right now. She's out in the elements, but in any case, those long camera shots often do make it look like it's coming down a little heavier than it is. But in any case, Mother Nature going to interrupt us here a little bit before we have the opportunity to go back green flag racing.
Still scheduled to see the Tour Type Modifieds tonight and the 602 Modifieds. Tour Type Modified 50-lap A-main feature, a B-main feature that will not transfer any cars, but it gives some drivers that didn't get a chance to lock in to the feature event a chance to run a 15-lap feature as well, with a large field of Tour Type Modifieds here tonight. And the 602s will close out the evening with their feature event as the raindrops falling keep us under yellow. And the field coming down pit road. Not what we wanted to see. We were hoping they'd stay out on the racetrack and
keep the heat in it.
Yeah, keep the heat in it. Keep that vortex going, right?
We've seen this a couple of times in the past, notably up at Madison, Wisconsin a couple of years ago, a late race shower. Very brief. It put us under the red flag with inside of the checkered flag. If we can, of course, we will absolutely try to finish this race and get a caution flag victory. Talking about those Reese's sweet moves of the race, of course, we've got the great save by Jack Wood underneath the number 74 car. We've got the sweet move that Sammy Smith made down on pit road to take the lead. I wonder if we've got
Saw the move on the first lap. Daniel Dye picking up 4 spots.
I wonder if we could get another look at that start here before we make a final decision on that one, whether or not we're going to nominate that or not. But I'd like to see that Daniel Dye move on that initial start one more time before we officially close our candidacy for those 3 sweet moves of the race. Don't forget, folks, you can go to the ARCA Twitter page at ARCA_racing starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Cast your vote for your favorite sweet move of the race.
Took a peek at weather radar, just a few pesky little spots, tiny spots, and one of them happened to come right through the New Smyrna Beach, Florida area and put some rainfall down. You can see a lot of people electing to stay in the stand. So it's not coming down extremely hard. We just hope it doesn't get to the point where it saturates the racetrack too much to be able to get these cars back out without a long rain delay.
Welcome back to Track Pass here on NBC Sports Gold. Live coverage of the Jeep Beach ARCA East 175 here at New Smyrna Speedway. There you see track drying kind of winding down here after this little interruption from Mother Nature. We still have a handful of laps yet to go. Race car drivers getting buckled back in. Well, they will be here in just a couple of moments. I understand we're going to send the race cars back out, let them kind of build some heat back into the race. That actually will be probably the quickest way to get the racetrack back in raceable shape, get those race cars back out there, get some tire heat, get some exhaust heat on that racetrack. So let's count it down here, Adam. We got 171 laps in the book. We come around to get the one to go, to complete that first lap, it'd be lap 172. We get the green flag at lap 173. We get the white flag at 174. We get the checkered at 175. That gives us 2 laps of green flag racing. So ARCA officials have taken that into account. So we're going to bring the cars back out here in a few minutes, get them fired up. We're going to have a green, white, checkered finish anyhow. We're going to go into overtime here, officially go into overtime as we use these race cars to build some heat back in the racetrack so we can get a green flag finish.
One of the problems with trying to get the track dry here is lack of wind.
Right.
And humidity is
right.
high. Very muggy.
Very.
Not much rain on radar. Couple spots over to the east, over by the ocean. But really, I think we're going to avoid any more rain. It's just a matter of how long it's taken. You can see the racetrack. There's still some dampness in it. There's definitely some lines of dry. And what shows is a little bit darker probably isn't real slick. It's just a little damper.
Just
than
probably
what
a
the
little
rest
too
is.
damp that you'd want to go 100 miles an hour on it. But it won't take long with those race cars out there. Won't take long to get that back in raceable condition. But in any case, we are going to extend the race into overtime. Since we were going to have a green, white, checkered finish to the official lap distance of the race anyhow, we might as well take the race cars and get them back on the racetrack, get some heat in the racetrack, and go back and have a good overtime green, white, checkered finish. And hopefully we will have an exciting one here for you, as it's been a pretty exciting race to this point.
It is a pretty good race. We saw a number of lead changes, saw some lead changes over the first half of the race. And then since the halfway break, the yellow came out, competition yellow around the halfway mark at lap 88. Sammy Smith has been dominant, but this yellow flag bunches up the field. He has withstood a couple of yellow flags and pulled back ahead again, but the 74 car of Mason Diaz, he was pretty excited about getting one more shot to battle with the leaders up there. So we're going to roll these cars off of pit road here in just a moment and see probably a pretty exciting finish.
Mason Diaz, of course, as you said, a former winner here in Protlay bottle competition at the World Series here at New Smyrna Speedway. Of course, he's got a couple of track championships under his belt up at Southern National Speedway in Kenly, North Carolina. We will make a stop there a little bit later on in the summer. I know he's looking forward to that one, but right now he is all about getting that first career ARCA Menard Series victory here at New Smyrna Speedway. And there you see the command. Saw it right there. Engines roaring back to life down on pit road, and the race cars rolling out onto the racetrack as well. And there you see the 74 car rolling off the grid first, the 17 car following him, 54 car following him, the 18 car going to slot in to that 4th position. And Adam, just like we thought on that cycle of pit stops, the 18 car did come on down pit road a lap too early. And In the interest of righting a wrong, never too late to fix, to make a correction, ARCA officials have determined that Mason Diaz will lead the field to the restart here. So a tough break there for Sammy Smith, but good fortune smiling down on Mason Diaz there, as he will get the call to lead the field to the restart.
It's going to shuffle this top 5, and definitely an unfortunate turn of events for Sammy Smith, who has a very good race car. Not over yet, though. Even with the green-white
No.
checkered, as fast as he is, anything can happen. You get a little wiggle up front, or perhaps another yellow flag to shake things up again, but ARCA officials attempting to right a wrong that took place when they came down pit road too early to take that second 2 tires.
And it surprised us at the time, but, again, not having computerized scoring loops down on pit road, it's, there's a lot going on. It's hard to make those calls sometimes in real time, but here throughout the course of this delay, ARCA officials have had a chance to go back and review scoring, and they have decided to move the 74 car to the top of the scoring pylon. So a tough break there for Sammy Smith in the number 18.
17 car of Gray was so good in the first half of this race tonight. So I think now Mason Diaz has to be worried about that 17. I just think Taylor Gray, the way that car ran. Then again, Mason Diaz, since that halfway yellow flag, man, he's been stout.
And pretty sporty all
Yes,
night long,
he has.
as a matter of fact. We've seen him on a couple of times making some moves up towards the front of the field. He's got to feel the weight of the world on his shoulders right now, as he will be leading the field to the restart here. Taylor Gray, he's already a winner. He picked up a win on the ARCA Menard Series platform last year at Kern County Raceway, so he knows how to get it done. Also was involved in a slam-bam finish up at All-American Speedway with Gio Selzy, where they traded some paint on the final lap up there. So he knows what it's like to be in a last lap shootout for the victory. And what will we see out of Taylor Gray on this restart? Of course, lane choice can play a big role in who does what on this restart.
And that long delay, how does that affect tire pressures? How does that affect the wear that's on the tires, the cooler conditions, though it's muggy, the dampness on the racetrack? There's a lot of different variables here that may affect the outcome of this race. We're expecting to see a green-white checkered whenever it's time to officially go back to green. So we'll watch how that plays. They're going to give them some laps to help make sure this track is race ready. Looks like 2 real raceable lanes down in turns 3 and 4. Plenty of dry track down in the 3rd and 4th corners. And again, we didn't have a bunch of rain. It just took a while to dry it up, even to get it to this point, because of the humidity in the air and the lack of wind.
During the break, I stepped outside the booth here, and you could cut the air with a knife. It seems it is very heavy here in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, and there is zero breeze. If we would have had just the slightest bit of sea breeze or just any ambient air movement, the track drying process wouldn't have taken as long as it did. But in any case, field going to double up. We're going to put some heat back in the racetrack, get some heat in the tires, and we'll settle it with a 2-lap dash to the finish. There you see those 2 raceable grooves down there in turns 3 and 4. Straightaways look pretty good as well. We might have to get a little heat down in the turns 1 and 2 area of the racetrack, and we will be ready to rock and roll. There's a good shot of Jimmy Walker up on the flag stand. You're having a good night up there, Jimmy. So it's been a while since the Visconti Motorsports team has picked up a victory here in ARCA Menard Series East competition. Of course, going to victory lane with Brandon McReynolds a couple of years ago up at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This team, a mainstay of East Series competition dating back to the old K&N Pro Series days. Team owners John and Marie Visconti brought aboard Tommy Baldwin as crew chief for this operation, and they've got to be pretty happy with having Tommy on top of the pit box with him here this weekend, as it's pretty smart strategy calls and a good setup on that race car and put Mason Diaz in position to pick up the biggest win of his career tonight. All he's got, 2 laps, 8 corners. Seems pretty simple, right?
Seems simple until you go down into that first corner with Taylor Gray underneath you, and that 17 car was really fast in this race. The 54, don't count out Joey East. What a run that car has had, the team car to the number 17 of Taylor Gray. And restarting from the 4th position, Sammy Smith being penalized from coming down pit road too early on an earlier pit stop, which was the 2nd round to get the left side tires. Needed to wait one more lap like the rest of the field, and that has mired him now to the 4th position.
But hey, we've talked about this all week. That 4th spot's not been a bad spot to come from on these restarts. Sammy Smith's not like he's completely out of it here. He's going to have to nail the restart, and he's going to have a little bit of luck on his side here. But you know, it's not completely hopeless for Sammy Smith and that Engine Ice Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll just have to see how this restart plays out here as we continue to circulate and build some heat in the racetrack here. There you see the graying up very nicely here on the front stretch. There's that narrow groove down there in turns 1 and 2. We'd like to see that widen out just a touch before we allow these race car drivers to sail off down there at top speed. Huh?
You know, it's a little bit darker above the bottom lane, but I'm not so sure that the grip is going to be that bad there. I've seen races run at Winchester with what is dark conditions on the racetrack that they couldn't get dry, much like this, and the racing was fine. It was great. It had grip. So interesting to see how the surface is here in New Smyrna. Now, I'm sure that is a concern for Mason Diaz as well as Sammy Smith, because they're in that outside lane, and that lane is very narrow.
Yep.
Half a car length or half a car width up, and they might be sliding if it is a little bit slick up there. So they're going to be careful.
And as we said, we are counting these laps, but we're not counting them against the finish of the race. We were going to have a 2-lap dash to the finish regardless. So even though we are counting these laps under caution, we were going to have a green, white, checkered finish even if we went to the lap 175 distance on this restart. So no harm, no foul, tacking these laps on to the end of the race. Green, white, checkered finish coming up here in overtime. There's an anxious crew awaiting the restart here. The Rhett Jones Racing team. Max Gutierrez having a good night here so far, currently sitting in that 5th position. Actually restarting 6th in the number 30 automobile.
Remember, Tour Type Modified's getting ready to go racing here shortly as well. 50-lap feature coming up. 602 Modified still scheduled to run on tonight's program, as still down to final 2 laps of green flag racing for the ARCA Menard Series East, with the 74 of Mason Diaz, the official leader of the race. Taylor Gray, though, on the inside lane. Those two battle it out, or will somebody from row 2 or maybe even row 3? Daniel Diaz right there on the inside lane. If the right things happen, he could be there. He took advantage of a restart earlier.
He absolutely did. He went from 8th to 4th, and there we get it. The 1 to go signal here at the stripe. Next time by, we will go for 2 quick laps to settle it here in the Jeep Beach ARCA East 175. Taylor Gray alongside our leader, Mason Diaz, up on the front row. Diaz electing to start from the outside here for this restart. Joey East and Sammy Smith back in row 2. Double D 43, Daniel Dye restarting from the 5th spot alongside Max Gutierrez, Colton Hensley. Rounding out our 7 cars on the lead lap. Pace car coming down to pit road. Who will it be here at New Smyrna Speedway? We are about to find out. 2 laps to settle it here in the ARCA Menard Series East season opener. Green flags back in the air. 2 laps to go here at New Smyrna.
Good side-by-side restart. They make contact in the first corner. Around goes
there
Diaz.
We see it. Oh, there we see it. Diaz sliding sideways. He is going to smack the outside wall down there in turn 1. And that is what we did not want to see on that restart.
He got a little contact from the inside. It turned his car sideways. He wasn't able to save as the yellow flag waves. Unfortunate break for Mason Diaz, and that's where you wonder, would he have been able to save it earlier in the race if it wasn't maybe a little damp in the outside lane? He did get some contact.
A lot of contact down there going into turn 1. Very unfortunate set of circumstances there for Mason Diaz, but he did manage to stay on the tail end of the lead lap there, so he will line up in the 7th position for this restart, but that will move Taylor Gray to the top of the leaderboard, and he will bring his teammate Joey East along with him. And you know, we've got unlimited restart attempts here in the ARCA Menard Series. We'll see how this plays out for Sammy Smith. Here's a look at this replay. Adam, walk us down into turn 1 here.
Go down into the first corner. A better restart for Diaz, but as they go into the turn, they bump tires side by side, and Diaz unable to save. It's a terrible break. On his way to at least a 2nd place finish.
And you know, That was a situation there where the driver on the bottom side of the racetrack determined where the corner started. Taylor Gray was about a groove up the racetrack right there. Did not leave Mason Diaz a lot of room. Not that Taylor Gray did anything wrong right there. That's a legit racing move right there. But Taylor Gray definitely controlled where the corner started right there. And Mason Diaz coming out on the short end of that stick. And there you saw the damage to the tail end of that number 74 Solid Rock Carriers Chevrolet for Visconti Motorsports.
And I feel like this all plays into the hands of Sammy Smith because didn't get a lap in, and Sammy Smith now is right there in the third spot. So we still officially have to do a green-white check. Two to go.
There you see the 1 to go signal here at the stripe. We will try it again. 2 laps remain here in the Jeep Beach ARCA East 175. Taylor Gray and Joey East now on the front row. Sammy Smith coming from the third spot here on the restart. Can he pull a Reese's sweet move of the race here on the restart? Double D43, Daniel Dye going to shoot from the outside of that second row. Max Gutierrez will start in that 5th position back in row 3. And Colton Hensley now moving up into that 6th position. First time we've seen him this high. There you see Mason Diaz tagging to the back of that group there in the 74 car. Pace truck making that hard left-hand turn down onto pit road. Taylor Gray lead them to the restart zone. He's got a good jump. Green flag is out. Sammy Smith coming with them. What does Sammy Smith have here on this final 2-lap dash to the finish?
They stay in the dry portion of the racetrack as they go down the backstretch, watching a little further back in the field as Gutierrez is going to end up with a nice finish out of this. Picks up another spot. Coming to the white flag, 1 to go.
White flag is up for Taylor Gray. He flashes across the start-finish line. He's got 2 car lengths in hand over Sammy Smith, who's feeling some heat there from Max Gutierrez down in turns 1 and 2. Sammy Smith going to have one more shot at Taylor Gray down here in turns 3 and 4. Can he get to him? Sammy Smith making a move. He's got the bumper to him. What's going to happen here off of turn 4? 3 wide for the win. Give it to Max Gutierrez. Gutierrez steals the win at the stripe. Unbelievable finish. Max Gutierrez picking up the win here at New Smyrna Speedway.
I said a lap ago he's going to have a good finish. I didn't think he was going to end up winning it. What a run for Gutierrez. Took advantage of the opening that was given whenever Sammy Smith made the contact with Gray. What a finish.
Wow. Unbelievable. You knew if Sammy Smith could get to him, he was going to put the bumper to him. He did. He didn't knock him out of the way. He moved him up the racetrack, but that opened the door for Max Gutierrez. And how about it? Picking up career win number 1. This guy is going to be ecstatic down in victory lane here with Jesse Punch in just a few moments. Burning it down, celebrating here at New Smyrna Speedway. Shocking last lap finish here at New Smyrna Speedway.
Definitely shocking. He fell back on that opening start of the race when got the green starting from the front row. Didn't look like he was going to be able to recover for a decent finish. All of a sudden, he ends up being the winner of the season opener.
He may be the second most shocked person here. I think I might be. I don't know. That was unbelievable.
Oh, by the way, what's the Reese's sweet move of the race? We're going to be voting. This has got to be one of the candidates.
I think that's a candidate right there. Right, you see that sticker on the front nose of that car, but right there, that is a solid contender for that Reese's sweet move of the race. But wow, Max Gutierrez, a shocking victory to open the ARCA Menard Series E season. Look, think he's happy?
Oh,
wow.
Sure, he's thrilled.
We will send it downstairs to Jesse Punch with our Victory Lane interview. Jesse, take it away whenever you're ready.
Max Gutierrez making a last-second move for his first career win. You see him catching his breath in the race car right now. Doesn't even have his helmet off. I don't blame him. I'm sure he's still trying to take in what just happened there. Coming around turn 4. Wow. Talk about a way to kick off the ARCA Menard Series East season here at New Smyrna Speedway.
Max will get ready to climb out of car number 30, get the victory lane set up down there. Max,
getting victory lane all set up, all perfect for the first-time winner.
The final turn, a 3-wide drag race to the finish. So we had some good finishes here last night, that one.
Wow, guys, you've been talking all night about what that Reese's moment was going to be. Well, I think we have a winner, no doubt about that.
Driver getting the instructions down there. Again, we're going to let him climb out. Get a quick
You have to wonder how long the young Max Gutierrez has been waiting for this moment, his first career win. About to take it all in here in Victory Lane at New Smyrna Speedway.
On the driver to climb out here.
All smiles from that driver's seat. Those pearly whites are shining bright. I can see them through the front windshield. This is going to be a great Victory Lane celebration, guys.
We'll wait to see him pop out here.
I tell you, the crowd is going nuts right now in preparation for this Victory Lane celebration. Everyone out here is on their feet. Nobody cares about rain as Max Gutierrez celebrates the win here at New Smyrna Speedway.
Max Gutierrez, your race winner!
Max Gutierrez, first career win here, and to kick off the 2021 season. What was going through your mind when you made that last-second move?
Actually, I can't believe it. The qualify was also a surprise for me. And the last green-white checker, I said, like, okay, that's a good place for the championship. But in the last corner, they were battling for the first, and I saw the opportunity and take it. And, man, I'm very happy, very proud of the team. My sponsors, Top Build, Avaya, Technic, Telcel for everything. And that's a great way to start the championship.
Great start to the season for Max Gutierrez, your winner here at New Smyrna Speedway tonight.
Max Gutierrez picking up career win number 1. And I'll tell you what, folks, you are going to want to go to ARCA's Twitter page, ARCA_racing on Twitter. Cast your vote for that Reese's Sweet Move of the race. That is one of the 3 contenders, and I got to tell you, I know who I'm voting for. That was amazing right there, folks. But in any case, at ARCA_racing tomorrow, 9 o'clock a.m. on Twitter. Cast your vote. As we have a shocking, incredibly shocking, exciting finish here. I did not see that coming. Max Gutierrez officially picking up the win here, Adam, by 46 thousandths of a second over Sammy Smith in second, Taylor Gray in third. He was 87 thousandths of a second behind at the stripe. That is incredible. Mason Diaz doing a good job racing his way back up to fourth, and Joey East rounding out the top 5. But just an amazing finish and a great way to start off our 2021 ARCA Menard Series East season here at New Smyrna Speedway.
No doubt it was crazy. The drama built, the anticipation to see the final couple of laps of that race had the extra yellow, which helped the 18 of Sammy Smith, and it really helped that guy right there, the number 30 of Max Gutierrez, as he brings home the surprise victory. No doubt he had that opening lap blunder when the green flag dropped, and took him all race to recover, and he did recover nonetheless. As we take another look at the replay, down into the corner, and Sammy Smith thought he had a great chance here, and all of a sudden he looks to the inside, and there's Gutierrez.
I actually thought Sammy Smith was on his way to victory. I was formulating the race call, down the backstretch, because I knew what was coming. The redemption on its way after. Look at this shot from down on pit road. Look at him stacking them 3 wide, and of course, right there at the stripe, just by a nose, Max Gutierrez eking out that victory. But Sammy Smith almost getting some redemption here after a tough break on pit road down there. Had to bump him out of the lead. But wow, what a finish there for Max Gutierrez and that Marquardt Racing team.
Be good to see some of those guys back in competition at Five Flag Speedway February 27th for the next ARCA Menard Series East race.
That's right.
See if the action can continue to be hot. And it was good all race.
It was.
Actually, the 18, Sammy Smith, after the midway mark, he pulled away and kind of controlled the pace for a while. But for the most part, we had a good number of lead changes passing throughout the field. And it was a good one tonight here from New Smyrna Speedway. Victory Lane celebrations going on. Also hear the rumble in the background of the Tour Type Modifieds. They're going to be running a 50-lap feature coming up in just a moment. As the hat dance continues, Victory Lane celebration for the feature win tonight, the Jeep Beach 175 Max Gutierrez. Getting all the sponsor hats in the Victory Lane
Hat
photos.
dance.
That's right.
Free hats down there. for Max Gutierrez, picking up career win number 1.
Fans are excited about that finish. They're excited as well about the Tour Type Modifieds coming up. We have the second place interview coming up. Jesse Punch down on the front stretch.
Down here with second place finisher Sammy Smith. Sammy, take me back through that final turn there. What happened?
Yeah, you know, none of that should have really happened. You know, they penalized us 80 laps later for something that we did right and everybody else did wrong. So can't really control that. I just felt like I had to do whatever I had to do to try to win at the end because I felt like we had the best car and shit happens.
Sammy Smith.
Very succinct from Sammy Smith. Disappointed with that second place run here tonight, but I think there are a lot of positive takeaways for that young man that will carry him on very nicely throughout the rest of our 2021 ARCA Menard Series East season. We'll send it back down to Jesse, who's standing by with our third place finisher, Taylor Gray.
Taylor, third place tonight. What happened there on that finish? Put me in the driver's seat. What went down?
Basically, just last lap deal. He tried to move me and didn't do it right, but whatever. I'm not going to say too much more before I get in trouble.
Now, sometimes discretion, the better part of valor, but you can definitely tell Taylor Gray very disappointed with the way his night ended here tonight. Well, we are going to wrap up the ARCA Menard Series East portion of our show here tonight. Don't forget, head on over to the ARCA Twitter page at ARCA_racing. Vote for that Reese's Sweet Move of the Race. We'll have 3 very worthy candidates. That starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. for Adam Mackey, Jesse Punch down on pit road. My name is Charlie Krall. Appreciate you joining us here for the ARCA Menard Series East season opener here on Track Pass. Modifieds coming up next.